What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jason. Hope you're doing well. So last video, I talked about 5 bold trade proposals for Francisco Lindor, and I hope you watched it. Hope you enjoyed it. For those that responded, your comments are great. Your feedback's great. You know, it's always welcome, whether we agree on stuff or don't agree on stuff. Doesn't matter as long as they're respectful. Keep filling up that comment section with your feedback, so we can have good dialogue. It's you guys that make the channel better. So. And I appreciate all of you. And also take a look in the description. You'll see all the teams on my 30 and 30. You'll see my MLB free agent predictions, contract predictions, as well as a couple of videos on Yankees business. But today, we're going to pivot. And we're going to do 5 trades, 5 bold trade proposals for Nolan Arenado. Okay, another big name being talked about, particularly since he said recently that he would like to move on from the Colorado Rockies after signing that $10 gazillion contract extension. So, you know, they have kicked the tires on trade destinations and stuff like that. And I would not be surprised if he's moved, particularly if they want to keep Trevor Story, their shortstop, who's going to be part of the free agent shortstop extravaganza the following year, or at the end of 2021 with the 4 crazy shortstops. Trevor Story, Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa, and Javier Baez are all going to be free agents at the same time. Those things don't happen very often, but those are essentially 4 9-figure shortstop contracts that are likely to be handed out at the same time, same offseason. That's nuts, okay? But Nolan Arenado is a clear-cut top third baseman in baseball. He's a fit in a lot of teams. He's the best offensive and defense combination. I want to go over 5 trade proposals for him today. And I want to know what you think. So put your feedback in the comments down below. Like always, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you like good baseball content, hit that subscribe button right now and the notification next to it, because you're not going to want to miss the next video. I'm going to do 5 bold trade destinations for Marco Gonzalez. And if you don't know who Marco Gonzalez is, the ace of the Seattle Mariners, you're going to want to watch that video. Okay, you'll know a lot more about Marco Gonzalez as well. He's a hidden gem. Okay, so he's the next one. And then I got some more good ones after that. So, but today, 5 bold trade proposals for Nolan Arenado. So let's get to it. Okay, got my baseball book right here. Number 5, the Atlanta Braves. Yes, the Braves. Young, dynamic, superstar, laid in lineup with a top 5 farm. Okay, yes, there's been talk about him. Talk about Chris Bryant actually being a prime trade candidate for the Braves. But now the Nationals have shown interest, which is going to probably, if he gets traded, either one's going to create a bidding war, which can open up an opportunity for Nolan Arenado as well. If the Braves don't get him, then they can jump in and get a Nolan Arenado. You add him to that lineup with Freeman and Ozuna, or if Ozuna comes back with Ronald Acuna, Albies, like all those guys. Oh my God, it's a modern day murderer's row. Question is, what will it take to get him? Okay, and that's where my trade proposals come into play. Okay, the return I have going to Colorado would be Johan Camargo, who's their top third base prospect, / infield prospect at the minor league and major league level. Drew Waters, who's their number 2 overall prospect and outfielder. And Kyle Muller, who's their number 6 prospect, a left-handed pitcher. It might cost more, but the reason why I don't have them paying ridiculous amount of prospects is because they're going to pick up about $200 million in contract. Unless the Rockies agree to eat a little bit, then they might add a prospect or 2. But this is under the condition that they're going to be eating up the whole contract. This is still a robust package. They're getting a third baseman in return. Okay, they're getting a top outfield prospect and a top pitching prospect, particularly if John Gray happens to leave this offseason via trade as well. They'll have a left-handed pitcher they can plug back in. And pitchers recently in Colorado have mostly performed pretty well. So kudos to them for whatever they're doing with pitchers there. So that would be the return that I have going to Atlanta. And again, that would make Atlanta's lineup a modern-day murderer's row. And it would help Colorado kind of restock restock the farm at the major and minor league level, and at the same time lower payroll significantly, particularly if they want to extend Trevor Story. That's number 5. Number 4, St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals. Could you imagine Arenado and Goldschmidt going back to back in that lineup? Oh, it's akin to Trout and Rendon. That's just a modern. That's a nasty twosome, nasty. Okay, and he would fit perfectly there. I mean, they would have to give up their current third baseman Matt Carpenter, but Nolan Arenado is an upgrade pretty much over everybody. So they'd give up Matt Carpenter. Nolan Gorman, who's their number 3 prospect, who's an infielder, particularly a third baseman, so they would have another layer of protection there because Carpenter's not locked up as many years as Arenado is. And Genesis Cabrera, number 4 prospect, a left-handed pitcher. So they would give up their starting third baseman, a third base prospect, and a left-handed pitcher. And again, this is provided they're going to eat most or all of the contract. Okay? That's the number 4 trade I have. Number 3, one of the more obvious candidates is the Los Angeles Dodgers, particularly if they do not re-sign Justin Turner, and which I personally don't have them doing. If you haven't seen where I have them predicted to go, watch my MLB free agent predictions video. You'll see exactly where I have them going this offseason. So I have third base open currently. He would be a perfect fit there, and just imagine adding him to Mookie Betts and the rest of that lineup. Oh my God. But they would have to give up Keibert Ruiz, who's their number 1 catching prospect. He's a top 5 prospect in their system, but he's, again, blocked by Will Smith currently, who's their starting catcher. But this kid is a young stud prospect. He would go back to Colorado. So would Brusdar Graterol, who's I think I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. A right-handed pitcher. And Gavin Lux, who's one of their young stud infield prospects. But you're going to have to give up at least this to get a Nolan Arenado, who's, again, a top 5 player in baseball. He's a major difference maker. And Gavin Lux can go over there and play third base. He can be their replacement. And, Graterol can go right into the rotation, and Ruiz can be groomed to be their next starting catcher. So that's the return I have coming back from Los Angeles, who's one of the few teams that can reasonably afford to eat that whole entire contract. So, Los Angeles Dodgers. Number 2, the Minnesota Twins. They're kind of my sleeper and might not be the sexy pick, but they have the assets to pull it off. Okay, and they have the motivation. Even though Josh Donaldson is locked up for a couple years, he's a guy you can move over to third base. Move over to first base. Okay, just a thought. Or to DH. Just a thought. Okay, but adding Arenado to Donaldson and the rest of that crew, that's a crazy lineup too. But they would have to give up their current, third baseman Miguel Sano, who's not a free agent until 2024. So the Rockies will be getting 3 years of good control left, which is good value. Alex Kirilloff, who's their number 2 prospect in the farm, an outfield / first baseman. So multiple position player, versatility is always key. And Johan Duran, who's the number 5 prospect, a right-handed pitcher, another pitcher to the stable over there in Colorado. So they get a top pitching prospect who's a top 5, their number 2 prospect, a multiple position player, and they would get Miguel Sano. And I think Sano would be well suited over there to hit bombs in Colorado. So that would replace some of the offense from Nolan Arenado. So I think that would be a pretty good trade too. But obviously Arenado's the key piece. And number 1, the Washington Nationals. If they're rumored to be talking about Chris Bryant, who is not currently, he's going to be a free agent at the end of 2021. He's going to require a huge contract. To me, Arenado is just a tad better than Chris Bryant. To me, he's the best third baseman in baseball. So if they're talking about getting Bryant, I can see them also going after, a Nolan Arenado. And their owners, have the funds, have the resources, and have shown a willingness to spend to compete. And this would be a major trade. Huge. Okay? What they would have to give up? Yes, young players. Carter Kieboom, who's their current third baseman. Cade Cavalli, who's their number 2 prospect, a right-handed pitcher. Okay, and Tim Cate, who's their number 7 prospect, a left-handed pitcher. Maybe another offensive prospect, but if you look at Washington's top 10 or top 15 prospects, they are littered with pitching, top pitching prospects. So they can afford to give up 2 prospects, even more potentially. And the money that the Colorado Rockies would save by trading Arenado away, they can always go out in the free agent market and get somebody to play third baseman if they don't get one in return here. If they don't get a Carter Keeblin, but Carter Keeblin would be a good person, good young player to plug into third base. So I could see them getting a starting third baseman and 2 top-notch starting pitchers. And again, eating that contract. And eating the whole contract kind of lowers the prospect price a little bit in most cases. And you're still eating about $200 million. So that's a lot of money. And I wouldn't expect to get 5 prospects and eat the whole contract. It's just not realistic. None of these teams would do that, at least in my opinion. So these are my 5 bold trade offers for Nolan Arenado. Let me know what you think. Put your feedback in the comments down below. And again, we're going to move on to a couple of pitchers next. So 5 bold trades for Marco Gonzalez. And again, you're going to want to know who he is because he can be a difference maker in a lot of pitching rotations. Okay? So keep an eye out for that. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Let me know that you did in the comments so I can personally thank you. I appreciate you and all your support. Be safe. Look out for each other. Talk to you next time.